And we are back, and then there were four. It is finally time for the Champions League semi-finals. Two massive ties, two German sides making it into the semi-finals this year. Does that now make Germany the biggest league in Europe, especially when you look at Bayer Leverkusen's unbeaten run across all competitions, including in Europa? Who knows? Maybe they just are the best country at the moment. But we're here today to talk about Bayern Munich, Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund versus Paris Saint-Germain. After yet another weekend where the Premier League was marred by some officiating that was questionable at best, at least we can now move away to some European football where the refereeing standards normally are a little bit better than what you see in the Premier League. Oh. They've put Anthony Taylor in charge of Borussia Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain, off the back of that incident with Cody Gakpo and Areola at the weekend. Absolutely baffling, but yet again, we have English representation in these major semi-finals. Obviously, we have a couple of players as well, but I am absolutely shocked that UEFA have gone ahead with appointing Anthony Taylor for this match after what he did at the weekend. But it is what it is. Hopefully, there is no refereeing controversies in that game. But like I say, given the last few weeks Anthony Taylor has had, you just never know. But like I said, we're not here to talk about the referees. We are here to talk about the Champions League semi-finals. And like I said, we've got two massive first leg ties taking place. First one tonight, second one tomorrow. So before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel if you are new around here. And finally, let's get into it. The Champions League semi-final first leg predictions start right now. And let's start with tonight's game, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. The two arguably best English players in world football right now. Jude Bellingham travelling to Bayern Munich to face Harry Kane. Now, there was a debate the other day about who is the best English player to ever play abroad. And there is a strong argument that both of these players right now are right at the top of that conversation. But this game is about more than just Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. There are a lot of other stars taking place for both sides tonight. And there are going to be some few stars missing from Bayern Munich's side. And I think that could play a massive impact on this game. It looks like Musiala could make it. But the likes of Gnabry, Sane and Coman look like they're all going to be unavailable. So Bayern are going to be very thin in that second row behind Harry Kane. Looks like it'll be Müller, Guerrero and one other. It's just whether or not that is going to be Musiala or if they're going to have to rely on Choupo-Moting once again. For Real Madrid, it looks like they're going to be near enough at full strength. It's just Dani Carvajal is going to be suspended after all those fouls on Jack Grealish. So Real Madrid are going to be at full strength. Bayern are going to be a little bit weaker in the attacking areas. But what we saw against Arsenal is that Bayern are seemingly a lot more defensive-minded when it comes to the Champions League this season, much to the annoyance of course, some of those Arsenal fans and players last time out. Not to mention, though, Real Madrid, much to the annoyance of certainly some of those Manchester City players, were also very, very defensive in their outlook towards their quarter-final against the English side as well. So I think this is going to be a much more scrappy affair. I think this is going to be a lot more defensively solid and there's going to be moments of attacking flair, whereas when we get to the other game later, I think that one's going to be a lot more open. I can't really split these two right now. Off the back of their respective wins in the quarterfinals, these two sides have both gone on to win all of their domestic games since. Bayern Munich with a 5-1 win. I think it was a 1-0 win. Or was Real Madrid that got the 1-0 win? But obviously Real Madrid got that Clasico win thanks to Bellingham's last-minute winner as well. Real Madrid have basically wrapped up the league title. Bayern Munich, of course, had to concede the league title to Leverkusen. So priorities are both going to be towards this game. I can't split them right now. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I definitely think, if you ask me right now, Real Madrid would be the favourites. Even tonight, I think Real Madrid would be the favourites to get the win on the night. But I just can't quite split them right now. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. The other game, as I just mentioned, I think is going to be a lot more open. We know with PSG and Borussia Dortmund that they're two free-flowing attacking sides. We saw how effective both teams are at scoring goals in the quarterfinals. 5 for Dortmund against Atletico, 4 for PSG against Barcelona. They absolutely dispatched the Spanish sides. And everyone's saying that this final is basically going to be the winner of Bayern Munich and Real Madrid beating the winner of this game. You've got to look at the fact that if Real Madrid are considered the favourites, Dortmund and PSG, respectively, absolutely destroyed the other Spanish teams in this competition. So I wouldn't rule either Dortmund or PSG out, whichever one makes it to the final. But like I said, I think this one's going to be a lot more open. I think there's going to be a lot more chances, a lot more attacking flair on display. Again, it's hard to sort of place the form of these sides. They've both been making big changes to their lineups in the games in the run-up to this. Dortmund, unfortunately, were absolutely obliterated 4-1 by Leipzig at the weekend, playing a fairly strong side, to be fair. So that's not going to be a good sort of motivator for them. It also looks like that they're going to finish 5th in the Bundesliga, which, as things stand, would put them outside of the Champions League positions, but coefficient depending, given the fact that Bayern, Dortmund and Leverkusen are all in semi-finals, you would expect Germany to get their coefficient spot, meaning that they will end up having that 5th spot in the Champions League. But if somehow that doesn't happen, Dortmund have to win the Champions League to qualify for the Champions League next year, so big pressure on them. PSG, again, won after their game against Barcelona and then drew to Le Havre at the weekend. But like when I say they played their reserves, they basically started with half their reserves and then brought on the rest of their reserves at half time. So PSG will have all of their stars fresh and ready to go for this one. I still think, though, at home, Borussia Dortmund are a very hard side to beat. And obviously these two sides did meet in the group stage as well. It was a 1-1 draw at Dortmund. It was a 2-0 win to PSG in Paris. But I just think both sides are playing a little bit more freely since those games back in the start of the season. I am going to go for a Borussia Dortmund win on the night. I'm going to go for 3-2. But we will see. I could honestly see this one being along the lines of a 4-4. I think this could be an absolute chaos game. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And I hope that both of these ties are going to be finally poised going into the second leg. But I don't know. We'll see. I can definitely see Real Madrid getting a 1 or 2 goal win in the opening game, even though I've gone for that 1-1 draw. And I can definitely see either Borussia Dortmund or PSG getting a multi-goal lead going into the second leg next week. But I think even if they do, especially in this second game, I can see it going a long, long way in that second game as well. I think whatever scoreline happens in the game tomorrow night, you could easily see a comeback in that second leg because neither Dortmund or PSG seem to have the defensive qualities this season, especially in the Champions League. But those are going to be my thoughts for tonight's game and tomorrow's games in the Champions League. As always, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Am I being a little bit too unfair towards Real Madrid in saying that Bayern are going to get a result tonight? Or am I being the opposite? Are Bayern going to get the win tonight? And then obviously let me know your thoughts on tomorrow's game as well. Thank you very much for watching as always. I'll be back tomorrow morning with all of my predictions for the Europa League and Europa Conference League semi-finals. I will see you there.